ఇంటర్ పాస్ అయిన స్టూడెంట్స్ కి ప్రాక్టికల్ లెర్నింగ్ అండ్ ఇండస్ట్రియల్ ఎక్స్పోజర్ తో 100% ప్లేస్మెంట్ ఇస్తుంది ఐ క్రియేట్ డిగ్రీ కాలేజ్.
So my name is Navid. You can see me sweating, and the reason I'm sweating is because I walked, I think, only 100 steps. That's another problem we have. Why I have to walk in? Because I was getting late. I thought I'll leave my car on the other side of the road and I'll just cross the road and come in. So that's another issue we as a nation, we as a country is facing is the fitness, the health, and which we need to focus on. I'm sorry I'm bringing this topic here. While we were comparing with other developed nations, sir, one thing those nations have is like the people are very fit. They walk. They prefer walking.
Not necessarily America and Europe.
I know they have obese, sir. They have obese, but a lot of like European countries, for that matter, sir, they prefer walking. And in fact, our countrymen, when they travel and they go, they ditch their cars and they walk for kilometers, 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers, nothing. So that's one thing we as a nation are facing issue because we don't have walkability space. And we are close to solving it, but it has to be focused. And that's one reason, I think, one question that was put up, that how many people go in your car to have ice cream. The one reason we go in our cars to have ice cream is because how do we take our kids or family very safely on a footpath, because a footpath ends abruptly. And while the GHMC may have constructed a beautiful footpath, some other department, electricity, may have come and put a electricity box there. So one thing that we realized, sir, while working, that there is a coordination or maybe lack of convergence that existed while the plannings were happening. So while the city was planned by an urban planner very beautifully, very nicely, considering all the aspects, and we should not forget the fact that we are a developing nation. We are not a developed nation. When a nation is developing, there will always be a shortage of resources, forces, and everything for that matter. And that is where the citizens come to support the growth of the nation. While we say that we are patriots, we are very nationalist, the true definition is supporting a nation by being a civic sense carrying citizen. I think, sir, if I may, sir, 70% or 80% of our problem is lack of civic sense. If those things come while driving, we may solve a lot of issues that we encounter on the road. I'll give you a small example. As I said, we're a developing nation. Constructions are happening. Examples, right, in the city right now, you have Kajagoda Junction and Triple IT, where flyovers and underpass are being constructed. Now, when the construction happens, there always be a conflict. Now, the conflict is between two car drivers, and that conflict may just last for nanoseconds if one person has a civic sense or a patience to just hold and let the other car go. But both people are impatient, they have a conflict, and that conflict goes from a 1 second to 10 seconds to maybe convert into a road rage, and they may start fighting on the road and creating a situation. That's one problem, sir, that we are facing as a behavioral thing, which doesn't have to be an infrastructure issue or anything. Another thing, sir, is this is from the stats we're saying. So in Hyderabad Commissionerate, sir, we monitor the traffic, how the traffic is entering Hyderabad. Every vehicle is being counted. And when I say vehicle, it's a traffic that being induced at every junction. What we realized that weather also has an impact. As you said, sir, summers have started. I'm seeing a spike of 7 to 8%. Bikes are going down and cars are coming up. Similarly, when a weather forecast says that it's going to rain in the evening, suddenly you will see a spike of cars on the road. So that's what we monitor, and we see, okay, this is going to happen. And Hyderabad Security Council, sir, we regularly issue sit traps whenever there's a situation. So we keep alerting organizations that today evening it is going to rain. Why don't you stagger your logout timings? So instead of logging out at 6 o'clock, why can't you log out at 4 o'clock in a 15 minutes phased manner? And that time, if you see, of monsoon is for 15 days when we have regular rains and all. And last year it helped us. So when we communicated this in advance, at evening we see a forecast and it will rain, people logged out early, and we were able to, the traffic police was able to manage it very effectively. So these alerts, coordinations are also helpful. On the same point, what we are also trying to solve is the school traffic created. So we are working on a students mobility program, and it has a lot of cascading effect. So what we realized that in the morning, and especially this part of the city, sir, A lot of people are IT professionals who support the markets which are not Indian markets, and they have a different time zones. So for example, somebody supporting a US market will log out at 3 a.m. in the morning. Now, if I am a couple and I have kids who needs to be dropped at the school in the morning, logging out at 3 a.m., by the time I sleep it's 3:30, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, I need to again get up, get my kid ready, breakfast, everything, and then drop to the school. A lot of accidents we have seen that people getting killed because they're not in a right state of mind. And then they same sleepless, lack of sleep, everything they carry with them, and that induce. So what we are trying to do, sir, they work with the planning department. We found out that how many schools are there in jurisdiction. And then every police station level, we identify top 500 plus student schools and how much of traffic they're creating in the area. We identified some 526 schools. And then we surveyed more, we went and met them. What we realized that 80% of the schools are providing transport. When I say transport, buses or vans. And these 526 schools have 4,31,000 students. Only 30% students avail that transport. So while the data says that 80% are providing transport, but only 30% students of 4 lakh are using it. That was an alarming figure. When we went and deep dived at why, affordability was one issue. I know schools and colleges who charge above 1 lakh, 1,20,000 only for transportation. That is beyond the fee. Everybody cannot afford. So they prefer dropping in an Activa. Or a lot of people prefer, safety is one of the reasons that we have. So cars come. We have some top-notch schools in this area where 4,000 students are in one school and similar school, and they're close by schools. 80% of the people come in cars. It's a very high premium school. 80% means 3,000 around people and 6,000, so total 6,000 cars in a window of 10 minutes at that junction. So when we did this entire data consolidation, we found out that 1,90,000 vehicles are entering these congestion points in a span of 15 minutes in the morning and moving out. That was a huge traffic situation, and it has cascading effect. So one junction is blocked, other gets blocked, another gets blocked. So we thought one is this problem. Another thing, sir, we did, like we started end mile connectivity. We have buses with did for women, especially for women, she shuttles. And one thing that we are trying to push to corporates, when this entire concept of IT parks and residential societies came into existence, I think it was more to do with that people will start from one place and go to the another IT park. So it's a regular movement that will happen. This would have easily made a beneficial thing for a city if we would have added a transportation angle to it. Now what happens, I have 50 people in a same building, living in the same society. Just an example, 50 cars start from one place at the same time, come at the same place, and the evening 750 cars go. All these 50 cars can be replaced by one bus. The problem is people are not talking to each other. We are trying to make them talk. We are trying to make them connect and trying to bring that solution that you can easily ditch these 5 cars. While you said, sir, US 90% has cars, but they only take out their cars, I think, over weekends when they want to go with the family, not for their usual thing, congestion free. So that's something that we need to drive as a behavior that, I know we are a country of where more than the quality of living, the status of living matters, and that connects with the status. Everything, where my child studies, which car I'm driving, makes more sense than the time value and everything that I carry. So we'll have to bring in those behavioral things. While I know infrastructures, forces, everything will come into place, and as a developing nation, we'll always have a gap. So we have to find out ways of filling these gaps, how we as a citizen, how we like contributors can do something to fill those gaps, as we need to find out. And we're working on those lines. If more forces come together, I think we'll be very close. I don't know if we'll be able to 100% eliminate it, but whatever contribution we can make, we can reduce that impact.
Absolutely. Thank you, Navid. Important points Navid made. First is civic sense. నిజంగా మన ట్రాఫిక్లో లెఫ్ట్ నుంచి ఓవర్టేక్ చేస్తాం, హాంక్ చేస్తాం, పొరపాటున టచ్ అయితే ఈ వెహికల్ ఆ వెహికల్ని పడు నోరుతాం, యుద్ధానికి దిగుతాం. కానీ వైల్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ట్రూ, మన సొసైటీలో బలాలు ఉన్నాయి, బలహీనతలు ఉన్నాయి. ఇట్స్ ఆల్సో ద గవర్నమెంట్స్ రెస్పాన్సిబిలిటీ టు రివార్డ్ సర్టన్ బిహేవియర్ అండ్ పనిష్ బ్యాడ్ బిహేవియర్. We have a very distinguished former police officer from Maharashtra, cadre, but from Hyderabad, Venkatesh Karnarakada. The purpose of law and enforcement is to ఎంకరేజ్ ద రైట్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ బిహేవియర్. ఒక ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇస్తాను నేను. మొట్టమొదటిసారి నేను దేశం బయటకు వెళ్ళినప్పుడు 36 ఏళ్ల క్రితం 35 ఏళ్ల క్రితం నెదర్లాండ్స్ వెళ్ళాను. ఒక చిన్న పట్టణంలో వాహనంగా అని చెప్పని మేమంతా ఇండియన్స్ ఒక బృందంగా వెళ్ళాం అక్కడికి. వివరాలు అక్కర్లేదు ప్రస్తుతానికి. సాయంత్రం ఏదో ఈవెంట్ ఉంటే ఒక్క వెహికల్ కూడా రోడ్డు మీద లేదు, నిర్మానుష్యంగా ఉంది. మేమంతా మామూలు అలవాటు కదా ఇండియాలో, బిరబిరలాడుతూ రోడ్డు దాటేస్తున్నాం. ఒక డచ్ లేడీ మమ్మల్ని తీసుకెళ్తున్నవాడు అక్కడ పేమెంట్ మీద నుంచి జెంటిల్మెన్ ప్లీజ్ వెయిట్ అంది. అందరూ మగవాళ్ళే, బుద్ధి లేని వాడు మగవాళ్ళే కదా. అందరం సిగ్గుపడుతూ స్కూల్ పిల్లలాగా వెనక్కి వచ్చాం. ఒక్క వెహికల్ లేదు రోడ్డు మీద, నిర్మానుష్యంగా ఉంది. ఆవిడ వాక్ సైన్ కోసం బటన్ ప్రెస్ చేసింది. 1 full minute ఆగాం ఆ గ్రీన్ వాక్ సైన్ వచ్చేదాకా. మళ్ళీ చెప్తున్నా, ఒక్క వెహికల్ లేదు. చిన్న ప్లేసు, సాయంత్రం 5 గంటలు. అప్పటికి వాళ్ళంతా మనలా కాదు, 4-4:30కి ఇంటికి వెళ్ళిపోయి భోజనం చేసి మళ్ళీ పొద్దున్నే 7కి వర్క్ వెళ్ళిపోతారు మర్నాడు, వీక్ డే. తర్వాత 15 రోజులు ఒక్కళ్ళం కూడా నెదర్లాండ్స్లో ట్రాఫిక్ రూల్స్ బ్రేక్ చేయాలి. సో కల్చర్ ఒక పార్టే. కల్చర్ కనుక మన సౌకర్యానికి అనుకూలంగా లేకపోతే, దానివల్ల నష్టం వస్తే, ద స్టేట్స్ జాబ్ ఈజ్ టు ఎన్ఫోర్స్ ఇట్. మనమేమో మీరు చలనాలు రేస్ చేస్తారు, వేవ్ చేస్తారు, 90% వేవరు. ఎన్వేస్ గారు ఏదో వేలం పాటలాగా. ఇదేందయ్యా, పెనాల్టీ డబ్బులు వసూలు చేయడం కోసం కాదు, రేపు పొద్దున పిచ్చి పని చేయకుండా ఉండటం కోసం. డబ్బులు వేవ్ చేస్తాము, పెనాల్టీ కట్టక్కర్లేదు, ఓట్లు పోతాయని చెప్పి అనుకుంటే ఇంకా చట్టమే ఉంది, ఇంకా రోడ్ పెనాల్టీ ఎందుకు? కాబట్టి I entirely agree. Citizens have a responsibility, but the state can enforce it, change our culture.
So one point I would like to make here, sir. The collection, sir. While the sir will know the facts and data, sir, there are a lot of fines that are imposed, sir, and sir will agree, sir. The collection ratio, sir, and the remittance and payment, sir, is also important factors. Lot of states, sir, we see what happens like when the elections are close by. Maybe the next session we can put up this question.
They waive them.
Correct, sir.
You're
so
absolutely
the value of that penalty gets diluted because people wait for that waivers to happen, and then
Precise. That is wrong.
effort of like the human and everything.
Absolutely. మనకు కొంతమంది కోపం రావచ్చు, అవ్వ కావాలి బొవ్వ కావాలంటే ఎట్లాగా? ట్రాఫిక్ బాగుండాలా, ట్రాఫిక్ రూల్స్ వైలేట్ చేస్తే పెనాల్టీస్ వేవ్ చేయాలా? ఎట్లా సాధ్యం చెప్పండి? మనకే కదా నష్టం. నాకు తెలుసు, నేను తిడతారని ఏందా ప్రతి ఒక్కరికి ఇలా మాట్లాడతాడు అనుకుంటాను మీరు. బట్ దిస్ ఆల్సో ఎన్ ఆబ్లిగేషన్ ఆన్ అవర్ పార్ట్ టు మేక్ షూర్ దట్ వీ ఫాలో ద రూల్స్, వీ ఎన్ఫోర్స్ ద రూల్స్, సో దట్ ఎవ్రీబడి ఈజ్ సేఫ్. హైదరాబాద్లో సీనియర్ ఎప్పుడు చెప్తుంటారు, వారానికి 5 చచ్చిపోతున్నారు హైదరాబాద్ సిటీలో ట్రాఫిక్లో. ఒక 25-30 మంది సీరియస్లీ ఇంజర్డ్ వారానికి, ఎవ్రీ వీక్ ఇన్ ద సిటీ. నేషనల్ హైవేస్ మీద కాదు. ప్రాణాలు పోతుండే, టైం పోతుండే, హైరాణ అవుతుండే, యాంగ్జైటీ స్ట్రెస్ పెరుగుతుండే. మరి అందరూ కిడ్ గ్లోవ్స్తో చేయాలంటే ఎట్లాగా? సమ్టైమ్స్ ఎన్ఫోర్స్మెంట్ ఈజ్ రిక్వైర్డ్ అండ్ వీ మస్ట్ రెస్పెక్ట్ దట్. ఇది మన కోసం, మన సేఫ్టీ కోసం అని చెప్పాను.
చిన్న పాయింట్ సార్, టు బి ప్రిసైజ్ అగైన్, 12,000 crores were imposed as penalties, government data ఇది, and only they could collect 3,000 crores throughout the country on traffic violations. తెలంగాణ జనాభా 3.5 కోట్లు రమారమి. 1,73,00,000 ట్రాఫిక్ వైలేషన్స్ వర్ బుక్డ్ ఇన్ 1 year యాజ్ పర్ ద పోలీస్ డేటా. అంటే ప్రతి కుటుంబంలో 2 కుటుంబాలకు ఒక వైలేషన్ చేస్తున్నాడు. యాజ్ 277 వైలేషన్స్ వర్ డన్ బై 1 RMP డాక్టర్ ఇన్ వరంగల్. ఆ ఏఐని ఉపయోగించి 1,73,00,000 మందిని పట్టుకోలేం, కరెక్టే. కానీ టాప్ 0.01% అయినా పట్టుకొని శిక్ష వేసి వెహికల్స్ సీజ్ చేస్తే, దాన్ని ప్రచారం చేస్తే బాగా లాభం ఉంటుంది. లేకపోతే ఇన్ని వయలేషన్స్ బుక్ చేసి సీసీ కెమెరాలు పెట్టి అవన్నీ చేస్తున్నాం, బట్ వీఆర్ నాట్ ఏబుల్ టు కలెక్ట్ ఫైన్ number 1, not able to improve their behavior number 2, civic sense. Thank you.